everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Camilla and no, you've not clicked on the wrong thing. Today I'm doing a mix of baking and talking about books, So I invite you in my kitchen, which this is the blind wall, but I invite you in my kitchen as I make a cake for my husband's birthday and talk about the book I'm currently reading, which is, funnily enough, called The Reading List. So today I am making a caterpillar cake. My husband is in his 30s, yes, but he asked me for a caterpillar cake and I could have bought one. That would have been simple, but I love baking and I haven't been baking that much in the last year because it's just the two of us. So I've decided to bake this cake. I'm gonna have friends about later, so we're gonna share it with them. So yeah, I'm gonna be trying to make this caterpillar cake for the first time and we shall see how that goes. Ruckus is done. I can talk a little bit while I'm sifting the flour. So I started reading The Reading List by Sara Nisha Adams and it is so good. I'm really enjoying it. So I got an ARC to NetGalley and I think it just came out in July. I got it really late, like I got it like 2 days before it came out, so I wasn't gonna read it before. So it was on my list in August and it sounded kind of fun because it's about reading, whatever. The first chapter was about a man kind of grieving the death of his wife and kind of trying to get out there, or he's not wanting to get out there and stuff like that. So I wasn't too sure, but then I kept going and I'm loving it. So the book is separated in different parts based on a reading list, which we kind of learn about throughout the book. And so the first book is To Kill a Mockingbird, and then you go into Rebecca, and I'm about almost halfway through and we are in The Kite Runner. Yeah, so it's very different tones, but it's fascinating. So there's been a lot of different characters and narrators throughout the book, and that's really interesting because you get, I'm suspecting that a lot of the characters we keep seeing other characters as like narrative. So at some point there's like an older woman, I guess, not finding her life very interesting, and then another one of the narrations in the chapters, the younger girl keeps mentioning this older woman who's always at the library. So I feel like maybe that's her. So yeah, I'm looking forward to kind of the way that it's going to all tie in together. All sifted. All right, now I just need to mix the mixture. Oh, it's very liquidy. Okay, I did something wrong. All right, that's about to go in the oven. Woo! Alright, so my chocolate ganache is ready and I'm still waiting for my sponge to cool down. It was cooling outside, but inside still warm, so I need to wait. So back to the reading list. So we're following mostly two characters. There's Mukesh, who is, I guess, an older man who's recently lost his wife Naina, and he can feel like his grief and the hole that she's left in his life. And she used to be a reader, so that's kind of his tie to reading. He finds one of her old books that she never returned to the library. That's what kind of how it starts and he goes to the library and then meets Alicia, who is a kind of teenager who's working there for the summer, and she's a bit apathetic and she doesn't really know books. I don't really know what she's doing there. I think her brother used to work at the library, and yeah, so they kind of, that's where that reading list kind of comes in, because he wants to find books to read and she's like, so what do you like to read, you know, how can I recommend you books? And he's like, well, I don't know what I want to read, I just want to read a book. So they kind of get this funny kind of conversation, and in the end there's this list that appears, the titular reading list that appears, that Alicia finds, and it has a couple of books, and that's kind of how the novel itself is separated into these sections of them reading these books. So it starts with To Kill a Mockingbird. So she starts reading it and she feels a lot about it, and then so she ends up recommending it to Mukesh, who reads it as well, and then they both kind of feel like they want to talk about it. And I think a lot of people in the booktube community will definitely get that feeling, you know, because we are clearly all out here talking about books. And so they kind of, you know, have a wee coffee and talk about To Kill a Mockingbird and what it meant for them and how they felt reading it. And then the second book on the list was Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. So then they're both reading that, and then I'm in the third section, which is about what is it? The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. So yeah, it's really beautifully written, like the different themes and the way they're exploring kind of their own feelings about it and what it's kind of teaching them about their own lives almost. And I really feel for Mukesh, whose grief is so vivid, and like sometimes there's these bits where he's just holding a book and he feels like he's holding a part of his wife, and that's just heartbreaking but also really beautiful. And Alicia is dealing with a lot at home as well. I'm not sure, her mother seems to be disabled from what I can tell, or has, you know, a deep depression, or it's kind of not really clear at the moment, and they're not really, I don't know how I feel yet about how they're dealing with that. But she's a teenager and she's kind of almost taking care of her mother with her brother, so there's a lot of that kind of, she's hiding that side of her life, and by discovering books, I don't know, it seems like she's coming outside herself, which I think is a reason why books are amazing. So yeah, that's kind of the first half is about where I am. All right, so I think I'm done. The kitchen is a bit of a mess, as you can tell. So I'll show you. This is my little caterpillar. Yay! It looks a bit like a murder from the front. Oh no, one of its things broken. Damn. Okay, that's fine. Okay, I'll leave it in the fridge. Hopefully it just sets. But yeah, I'm very pleased that I did it, and it's 1:30 already. It's been almost 2 hours, I might say. So I'm gonna clean up, then tidy up a little bit before our friends come tonight, and I will talk to you later about more of the book. All right. Hi everyone. So we are early September, and it's been 2 weeks since since I was baking the first half of this video. I did finish the reading list a couple of days later, but I guess got a bit lazy, forgot, / read other stuff, you know, a mixture of different things. But here we are, early September, and I want to give you a final review and, you know, to close off this video. I ended up absolutely loving the reading list. What an absolutely beautiful debut by Sara Nisha Adams. Just, you know, beautiful, good job. I look forward to seeing what else she has, you know, up her sleeve, and I will definitely be on the lookout for more books by her, especially if they're about books and about reading and readers. So as you can tell, I would highly recommend it. I think especially to an audience of people watching these videos, so part of the booktube community, whether you're producing videos or not, you clearly love books, and I think this novel is for people who love books. Even if you're maybe rediscovering literature or interesting in, growing your taste, your reading taste, and discovering more, I think this is actually probably a really great novel to dig your teeth into. When we left off while I was baking the caterpillar, I think we were at the Kite Runner. There were 5 more books as part of the reading list. And I think we go then on to Life of Pi by Anne Martel. Then it's Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, Little Women by Louisa May Alcott, Beloved by Toni Morrison, and then it's A Suitable Boy by Vikram Seth. That last one is the only one I'd never heard of before, but it's kind of taking me to, I guess, the pros and cons of this novel. There's only a few things I didn't really love about it, but overall I still gave it a 5-star because I think it was just an amazing book. So the connection with the book. So as I've discussed previously, this is a reading list. Alicia finds this reading list, and throughout the book there are like little glimpses of other characters who found the same list, and they're all kind of reading through the list, I think all in order. They're very linear people, love that. And they, I guess, kind of learn and discover and open their eyes and identify, by going through all these books, and they all have a very universal themes. So I think that's why they're so attractive as well. So I thought that throughout the novel, the connection to the book gets weaker and weaker, and by the last one, when we get to A Suitable Boy, there's almost nothing really said about that book. So I think it gets kind of smaller and smaller and smaller. And that's because the pace of the novel quickens, which totally makes sense. But also I feel like it loses itself a little bit, like the aspect of the reading list. It just becomes a bit like, oh yeah, I was reading this book the other day, rather than diving a bit into the feelings and, I guess, like I talked about, universal theme that you could get through these books, which we get a lot at the beginning, especially with To Kill a Mockingbird and Rebecca. There are 3 main things that I absolutely loved about this novel. The first one was the sense of connection to books. Because both main characters are sort of new to reading, I think you get almost that, I know for me is when I was a child, but this wonderfulness of the discovery of books and the discovery of, I guess, I keep repeating that word, but it just keeps coming to my mind, but a universal understanding of feelings, of situation, of people, that I think, it's one of the reasons that I love books. And I think that there's a really beautiful way that she expresses that through this novel. The second part that I really, really liked was Mukesh's culture, the way that it was incorporated into the novel very naturally. It was very well done, and I just love to see it normalized. And it's never like really a problem, like sometimes you read about, I guess, minorities, and because they are a minority, it comes up that they get abused verbally or something, and I was really glad that there wasn't really any of that, and it was just like, him being normal and his family and his granddaughter and his, it's just his friends as well. And yeah, so it was nice to kind of have a view into that culture, but that it wasn't negatively impacting him, basically. Finally, as I said earlier, I'm 100% recommending it to you, whoever you are watching this video, to the larger booktube community. I think that this novel has such a really beautiful and real outlook on books and reading. I think that everyone in this community will really relate in terms of, I guess, learning and, the enjoyment, discovering the enjoyment of books, but also to identify with characters, making friends through books. And finally, I think it's something that I've really discovered through BookTube, and this novel represented it very well, is that we all get different things from books. Like, even the same book read by all different people, everyone will potentially get something different from it. And I think that's the beauty of literature, that one scene will maybe really touch you, or a moment or a feeling, and then someone else will read the same thing and maybe that'll touch them completely differently, or maybe it won't touch them at all, and a different part of the book will really resonate with them. And I think that you can relate to people that way, but also have your own experience through books. And I thought that was so beautifully done. And I think that's one of the main reasons I really, really enjoyed this book and why I'm recommending it to you. The last thing I did want to say is that there is a trigger warning for suicide. I can't discuss it very much because there's a bit of a spoiler alert with that. But if that's something that's emotionally expensive to you, I think I would take and approach this book carefully, or maybe leave it for when maybe that's easier for you to look into. But I did want to mention it. All right, thank you so much for bearing with me. Although this was only a few minutes for you, this was 2 weeks for me. As I read, baked, discussed the reading list by Sara Nisha Adams. Again, if there's anything you're taking away from this, is grown people can want caterpillar cakes for their birthday, and you should go and read the reading list. All right, thank you for watching, and hasty you back. Bye.